Everyone in the shelter had already made up their minds about the gray tabby cat in cage number 12, because every time someone walked by, she would hiss, turn her back, and swat at the bars as if the world itself had betrayed her, and people whispered that she was mean, broken, impossible to love, and so day after day families came and went, choosing kittens that purred and puppies that wagged, while she stayed behind with nothing but the echo of footsteps and the slow ticking of the clock, and no one noticed how her eyes followed every door that opened, not with anger, but with fear. The kind of fear that comes from being left too many times, and the volunteers tried to help. They spoke softly. They offered treats, but the cat would not look at them. She had learned that kindness did not last, and that opening your heart only meant it would get hurt again. And so she protected herself the only way she knew how, by acting tough, by pushing everyone away before they could leave her. And this went on for months until one quiet afternoon, when a new sound rolled through the shelter, not the excited barking of young dogs, but the slow, careful steps of an older one. And when the door to the dog wing opened, a golden retriever walked in wearing a small blue vest that said, "Blind." His head tilted slightly as he listened to the world instead of seeing it, and the volunteers whispered about him too, saying he had lost his sight after an illness, that his family could not keep him, and that he was gentle, but scared. And as he was led down the hallway, he stopped in front of cage number 12 as if something had called to him, and the gray tabby inside stiffened, ready to strike. But the dog did not bark or growl. He just sat down, his tail slowly moving against the floor, and he said in a soft, shaky voice, "Hello? Is someone there?" And the cat froze because no one had ever spoken to her like that, not with fear, not with judgment, but with a simple question, and instead of hissing, she stayed still, watching this dog who could not even see her. And he leaned closer to the bars, sniffing gently, and said, "You smell lonely." And something inside the cat cracked, just a little, because she was lonely, so lonely it hurt. But she had never let anyone know, and for the first time in a long time she did not swat or turn away. She stayed, and the volunteers watching from a distance could not believe it, because this was the same cat who had scared off every person who tried to love her. And yet here she was sitting quietly in front of a blind dog, and the dog kept talking in his soft way, telling her about how he used to chase tennis balls, how he used to see the sky, how everything went dark one day, and how he was afraid of being forgotten. And as he spoke, the cat slowly stepped closer to the bars, listening, because she knew what it felt like to lose everything. And she knew what it felt like to be invisible. And without realizing it, she reached out a paw, not to hit him, but to touch the space where his nose was, just to see if he was real. And when her paw brushed his fur, the dog did not pull away. He just smiled and said, "Oh, you're right there." And that was the moment everything changed, because the cat realized something no one else had ever shown her before, that this dog could not see her scars, could not see her rough fur or angry face. He only felt her presence, and for the first time, she felt safe enough to be gentle, and from that day on, the blind dog visited her cage every morning, guided by a volunteer, and every day the cat waited for him, sitting at the front instead of the back. And slowly, she stopped hissing, stopped swatting, and started purring when she heard his soft paws coming down the hall. And the volunteers began to whisper that maybe she was not mean after all. Maybe she was just waiting for someone who would not judge her by how she looked. And one afternoon, something even more amazing happened. A family came in looking to adopt a dog, and they saw the blind retriever sitting calmly beside the gray tabby's cage, and they stopped to watch as the cat rubbed her head against the bars and the dog leaned in, his tail wagging. And the family said they had never seen anything like it. And when the volunteer explained how these two had found each other, the mother wiped tears from her eyes and she said, "If he can love her without seeing her, maybe we can too." And in that moment, they decided not to separate them. They asked if they could adopt both, the blind dog and the so-called mean cat. And when the cages were opened, the cat did not run away. She walked straight to the dog and stayed close to him, as if he was her anchor. And the dog nudged her gently with his nose, trusting her to guide him. And for the first time in their lives, neither of them was alone. And when they left the shelter together, people who had once passed by without caring now stood and watched, realizing that sometimes the ones who seem the hardest to love are the ones who need it the most. And sometimes it takes someone who cannot even see to show us who someone truly is. And in a world full of noise and judgment, a blind dog and a broken cat taught everyone the simplest truth of all, that love does not need eyes, it only needs a heart. Subscribe.